her over, and now you'll see that this is a really badly frizzy wig that needs a lot of work. So this is my daughter's Make It Own that she made. She's 10 years old, and she fashioned this face up from Susei-seki, from a picture of Susei-seki, because I didn't have her when she made this. And yeah, so this is the wig. This used to be Nikki's wig, and my daughter really wanted it, so I gave it to her. Now I'm going to go grab a cloth so I can put her face down. So this is probably the worst that a wig would be that I would have. And I have a lot of experience with detangling wigs like this from my daughter's American Girl dolls, and it's actually easier to do it with the wig on the doll than it is to take the wig off, unless if you have some type of a setup where you can hold on, like where you have something else that you could put the wig onto. It'd be great if you had two people, one person to kind of hang on to the wig and one person to work the hair. Now, the thing about doll hair that's different than human hair is that it doesn't grow back, and it doesn't break in the same way that human hair does. So, you know, human hair will get split ends and then it'll break off at certain points. Doll hair, if it gets stretched too much, it gets zigzaggy, and that makes it look frizzy like this. That's why cutting is important if you've got frizzed hair ends, and that's why it's really important that we're very, very gentle with doll hair and that we don't pull on it too much, because pulling ruins the hair shaft, and once it's like that you can't fix it because it doesn't grow back like human hair does. So I'm going to start with a section about this big. You can't see what I just did. Basically, while I was talking, I was just pulling a bunch of hair over to the side, and I have this hair right here. It's a little bit less than half. Maybe I should work on even less at a time. So I'm going to just kind of go with how the wig naturally separates, and I'm going to work this part and this part together right now. So I like to use water to make my job a little bit easier. Don't put anything other than water in a wig though. It doesn't need to be soaking either. I put too much water in right there. I really should have just misted it. It's just that the mister part of this thing is not misting very well. So the kind of brush that I use is an American Girl brush. It's it has metal and then a spongy kind of thing right there. And you don't want to use a plastic brush because it will increase static electricity and lead to more frizziness. So I'm being super, super gentle here. I am not pulling anything that gets snagged. That's why I'm kind of like moving my brush a little bit. If anything gets snagged, I am releasing right away. I'm not going to pull through any snags the way that you would with regular hair, because a snag that I pull on is going to stretch that hair, and when it goes back, it's going to be crinkly and yucky and lead to frizziness. So I'm starting at the bottom and I'm working my way up and then back down again. And I just use my thumb as a guide, and I'm pulling, basically I'm pulling all of the mats a little bit down. So now this part is smooth, so I'm moving my thumb down, I'm pulling the snags down, and then they fall out at the very end. So now all of this part is smooth. I'm going to move up a little bit more to this part. This is dry now, so I'm just going to wet it a little bit. Again, that's probably more than I need to wet it. But so this is the tangly part right here. I'm just going to be very careful to not pull it. But so this part is smooth now. So I'm very gradually moving my thumb down the hair shaft and pushing the snagged part down A little bit more. And a little bit more. And now it falls right out at the end. And see, do you guys see that? You can't. So there's a little hair here that's stuck. I'm just going to cut it. So now all of this is smooth, and it should, my brush should go through it fairly easily. Oh, not that easily. So that hair is looking pretty smooth, most of it. Now I'm right very close to the wig cap. And I don't need to brush through all of this because it's all pretty smooth looking already. I'm just going to work my way down. Basically, I'm trying to make this part as smooth as possible, very, very gently. So see how it's smooth to here and now tangly again? I'm going multiple times instead of going hard. I'm going slowly and patiently, and see this? See how tangly that is? Watch what I do. I'm holding this hair still, and I'm just going to move it. Move the tangly part right down the hair shaft. Very gently, just going multiple times, smoothing as I go. And now that part is smooth. Moving it down in my hand, and I'm going to hold that still. Smoothing it again. And now it just falls right out at the end. So this part of her hair is all worked out. It's all smooth and looks good. I can take a toothbrush and smooth it even more, especially this little part here that didn't make it into the rest of it. There we go. So now this part is done. Ideally what I want to do is get a little clip. Look, see how there's some tangles there that didn't. So I found some more tangles. I'm going to work them out. This is not a great quality wig, so not all wigs are going to get this snagged up. Okay. Now the best thing that I can do with this is get a little clip and just put it just like that. So I'm going to go get a clip. I'll be right back. So these are the kinds of clips that I use. It's better to use clips that have never touched human hair because human hair has oils in it and you don't want to transfer oils into your doll wig. So once the curl is all smooth, or it's not really a curl, it's just the section of hair, I just find wrapping it up is a good way to keep it all. So now I'm going to take the next section, and because this hair is even more complicated, it actually has a braid in it. I'm going to take the next little section, which breaks off easily. And I just need to make sure that I'm taking with it any hairs that belong in this section from above here. There we go. So this feels very dry and tangly and frizzy as it looks. So I'm going to start with the bottom, wetting it just like I did the last one. I'm not going to show you the whole head, but I'll just do this half of the head on screen and then I'll come back and show you her when she's all done. So starting at the bottom, you just work any of the little kinks out. Now I'm going to start at this mark right here. So now all of that is smooth. Sometimes I like to just kind of turn it under and see the other side and make sure that it really is smooth. There we go. It doesn't really matter because it's not going to stay smooth because I'm going to keep bringing these tangles down. So now I'm going to start right around here, which is a little bit further up. Let's start right here, and I'm holding this in one spot so that I'm holding it quite tight so that it's not going to pull. I don't want to pull the hair out of the wig cap, that's for sure. So I'm holding on to that shaft quite tight and just working the tangles over my finger so that now this part is smooth. It's quite smooth actually, look at that. So now I'm going to move my hand up a little bit, and the knots kind of start right around here. So I'm going to work them down again. And now this part is quite smooth. The underneath part doesn't feel all that smooth, so I'm going to take a bit of time to work it the other way as well. And now flip it that way, work it again. Now this part is quite smooth, so I can move my hand down a little bit further. And now it falls right out. There we go. So now all of that is pretty smooth. Now I'm starting quite a bit further up the hair this time. Just got to make this part very smooth and then move down a little bit. So now I have a very large tangly mass right here that I'm just going to very carefully work out. When it gets too big to work it through from the top, work it through from the bottom. So there, I pulled out a good part of that tangle and moved it further down the hair. So now I can go back to this section. And you can't see it, but I can feel it getting caught in my brush, so I know that there's a tangly part right under here. See it right there? I'm not pulling hard, I'm just coaxing it along. If I pull too hard on this, it's going to ruin the hair. Again, it's too much to work from this side, so I'm going to start to work from the other side of the hair. There might be a knot in here that just needs to be cut out. And she has so much hair that you're not going to really notice if you do that. So it's all smooth through here. And it's smooth at the bottom. It's just the centerpiece here that is quite tangly. So I'm just going to keep coaxing it out and be very, very patient with it. This is more likely to happen when you grab big amounts of hair like I did this time. Now all of this is pretty smooth. There we go. Go, and we'll just put that one in with that one. Now I'm going to go ahead and work the rest of her hair, and I'll come back when it's all done. Okay, so every once in a while you're going to get a little tangle like this. If it's small like this, you can just cut it right out. The thing is that if you pull at this, it's just going to make all of this hair, if you pull at this, it's just going to make all of the hair underneath of it get all stretchy and kinky and not smooth. So she has such a full head of hair that I am going to literally just cut this right out. It's going to make my process a lot easier. That's how much hair I have taken out. Just that little tiny bit. And it's amongst her other hair. It's not on the top. And so you're not going to see this thinner, these ends. They're going to blend in with the other hair. And that's going to make this process a lot easier. Now I can work my way down the hair shaft with the rest of the knots, or the rest of the tangles. The rest of the tangles are just loose, normal tangles. It's only when a tangle is so tight that it's already stretched and made the hair crinkly that it's a good idea to just cut it out. And that's with a long full wig like this where you're not going to notice it. If it was in a spot where you would notice it, or if the wig was already pretty thin, then you can't see anything that I'm doing. Sorry. If the wig was already thin, or if it was at a spot that is noticeable, then you just have to be patient and tease it apart, and then maybe cut out certain individual smaller parts of it that are twisted and bended. The other thing that I do is, you'll notice that, I'm going to zoom this in a little bit, you'll notice that there are crinkly little spots at the end. I'm just cutting those off because they're no good to anyone. They just, all that they do is get tangled up with the smooth hair and make it more likely to get stretched and broken. So you can trim up all of these little ends at the end of your hair once it's all smooth. There, that's better. So this one is pretty much ready to go. I'm almost done. Okay, so you might see me doing this movement a lot, kind of like that, and then pulling my hairbrush back out of the hair. What I'm doing when I'm doing that is I'm getting the tangles moved to a certain point, and then it's not going any further because they're tangled. So I'm pulling my brush out and just kind of trying to be more gentle about it. So that's what that kind of wrist movement is that you see me doing sometimes. It's just to prevent myself from pulling too hard on the hair. You can pull to a point and then it becomes clear that it's tangled, so then take it out of the brush and start in a new place until it runs through very smoothly like this. Then you know you've got all the tangles out, and then you can move back a little bit further on the hair shaft. So this is the very last lock of hair or section of hair that I have to work through. And because this hair is going to be seen, it's in the front and it's on the top layer, I'm going to take my time and make sure that I go almost right to the wig cap with smoothing out the tangles. I just don't want to pull too hard because this is an inexpensive wig and I could very easily pull the hairs right out of it. There we go. It's looking nice and smooth there now. And I just have to work this all the way out to the bottom of the hair shafts. And then this doll's hair will be ready to dry. That's what you want to have happen, just like that. Nice and smooth from the top all the way to the bottom. So to dry her hair, I'm going to just air dry it. It's very, very important that you do not blow dry a doll's hair, unless if it is a heat-resistant wig, which most of them are not. You will ruin the hair by blow drying it because the heat will either melt it or change the quality of it in a negative way. So I'm just going to lay the hair out like this and let it air dry, and I'll come back and show you how it looks after it's done. Okay, so I'm back. Her hair is mostly dry. The last thing I'm going to do is just trim around some of these really frizzy parts that are surrounding her face. So she has some hairs here that are too zigzaggy to be able to smooth down or straighten out. And I just am cutting them back so that they're not going to be going across her eyes or anything. So there we go. She's all ready. Now, doesn't she look a lot better? Her hair's still a little bit wet, but not too wet at all. So it still has a little bit of drying to do, but you can see that it is, for the most part, very smooth and shiny and not tangly the way it was before. I just can take a toothbrush to smooth some of these edges a little bit, like so. It looks pretty good. So that is how you brush a Pullip's wig if you must. Like I've mentioned several times, it's a better idea to just not brush it, but if you must, that is how you do it. Very gently, very carefully, take your time with lots of patience, and you can get your wig looking like this. As long as you haven't pulled on it too much, you can get it looking like this again with just a little bit of patience and time and the right tools. So, of course, this is not a great quality wig, so it's never going to have the same nice ends that a high quality wig has. It will always look a little bit frizzy on the ends just because of the material that it's made out of, but for the most part, this wig looks quite a bit better than it did a few minutes ago when I started brushing it. So thanks so much for watching. I hope that you found this helpful. If there was anything that was not clear or any other questions that you have, just let me know. So thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.